Hi, my name is Brennan Herger. I'd like to walk you through my final project for MSAN 622 data visualization. For my project, I wanted to zero in on a subreddit called Ask Abros, which is sort of a community forum for individuals to ask for crowd knowledge and see what they say back, which is usually pretty interesting. It's kind of hard to talk about in the abstract, so I'd actually like to zoom in and just look at a few of the more popular posts at the time that I'm creating this video. So from the bottom up, the first one is, I'm out to my friends but not to my family. Is anybody else in this situation? Just sort of harking out for advice into how to deal with coming out. Next up is sort of being gay in social media. How does Facebook know that I'm gay, and perhaps target advertising, which they're kind of notorious for doing. And then there's other stuff. So with this view, at least to me, it naturally harks to a few kind of interesting questions, such as what are the natural categories that posts fall into? What's popular amongst different Redditors? And finally, when is content generated? So that if you can tell that stuff normally goes up in the middle of the day, that you can just go ahead and check in the middle of the day in more of a push architecture. With this, I'd like to walk you through my sort of whole process, beginning with how I was able to access the data and create this data set, and next how I was able to create a visualization in D3. Finally, I'd like to walk you through an example use case using the dashboard that I've created. Up first is the data. So I actually use Pra, which is a Python library that sits on top of Reddit's API. Using this, you can get the raw data. There's a lot of fields, but I'd like to highlight just a few that are kind of really interesting, just so you get a feel for the data set. You can pull out things like the author, the title, the body text, the created timestamp, as well as user ratings, such as the number of comments, the number of ups, downs, and gilded. That's whether or not it's received Reddit Gold. Finally, there's an over 18 flag that sort of acts as the internal not safe for work feature. Out of this, I was able to actually pull out a few more features, such as the number of words, the cleaned up body of the text once you've extracted some HTML formatting stuff, and topic modeling output. I was able to use latent data allocation to find 5 specific subtopics within this field. Unfortunately, that's beyond the scope of this video, but on the final product, I'll be able to describe it a little bit further so you can read about it in the dashboard. With that, I'd like to actually take it over to the dashboard and give you a feel for it. There are a few things going on. Of course, this is a beta product. I don't speak Latin. This is just placeholder text for the time being until I can give it a proper introduction. But everything is interactive. So let's go ahead and reset it. And you can see this first chart is just the number of upvotes versus the average number of words within each of these. So you can see that finding a guide posts are usually slightly longer and coming out posts are pretty brief, but everything is liked pretty much the same. If we scroll down a little bit, this I hope will eventually be a description of how latent data allocation has been applied to this particular field and a bit of a general discussion about how it works. Additionally, I'd like to include a word cloud for all of the words that are popular within each of these different 5 fields. This is pretty large, so it'll likely be a static image because loading in the raw text for a year's worth of posts would take a while. And down below we actually have a histogram for the length of posts showing that there are a few posts that are extremely long, but they're actually mostly 500 words or less. Additionally, I have sort of a timeline here. This is aggregated by day and the number of posts over time. So you can see there's a general upward trend suggesting the subreddit is growing in popularity. Finally, on bottom, there's this living footer that has some information that you can sort by, such as the day of the week, the topic name, as well as the number of posts within each of the topics, and whether it's safe for work. I think at the moment these labels are actually flipped. Most of these are safe for work and a few are not safe for work, but that's something that needs to be fixed after I get out of beta. So with all of this in mind, I'd actually like to ask a bit of a toy question. What's popular on Saturday nights? And here we can just flip back to the dashboard and select Saturdays. And you can see that one of the topics gets significantly more upvotes on Saturday nights. Go figure, that's apparently what guys are thinking about. But the distribution is actually kind of the same in terms of the average number of words if we reset this, which is kind of interesting because there's roughly the same number of posts on all of the nights. And of course you can look and see the distribution and see there might be some seasonality effects here. That would be something fun to play with. With that, I'd actually like to say thank you and point you towards the final product, which will be available on my GitHub at some point in the near future. So thanks, and I hope you've enjoyed this.